What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be going through the 2025 college football schedule for Alabama. I am going to predict every game on the schedule and predict their record for 2025. But before we get into previewing their schedule, let's talk about this Alabama team. Alabama is coming off of their first 9-win season in year one with Kalen DeBoer. It was their first 9-year season since 2007. There's a lot of questions with this Bama team. People are wondering if their dynasty is over. But as Lee Corso says, I would say not so fast, my friend. Kalen DeBoer is a proven winner. He's been a winner everywhere. And I don't think people realize how much this Alabama team actually lost. They had a huge turnover heading into last season, and they lost Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer really had to adapt. This Alabama team had a whole new coaching staff. But heading into 2025, I think there is a lot more optimism for this team. They had their highs in 2024 with a win over Georgia and a dominant win over LSU, but they also had their lows. But if this Alabama team can be consistent, they can be dangerous. And they do bring in Ryan Grubb, the former offensive coordinator at Washington when Kalen DeBoer was there. Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer have worked together very well in the past. They produced a very good Washington offense, and they went to the Natty that season. So having Ryan Grubb as an OC is going to help drastically. And they got a good competition in the quarterback room. They got the former five-star and Ty Simpson. I think he's going to fit well in that quarterback room. He'll probably be the starter. I think this is going to be a quarterback system that fits him well. Kalen DeBoer has worked well with pocket passers. He did with Michael Penix, and Ty Simpson is more of a pocket passer. They also have Austin Mack to go to if something doesn't work out with Ty Simpson, but I am expecting Ty Simpson to be very good. I think this offense is going to be improved. They returned Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard, two of the top receivers from last season, but they also add one of the best receivers from the ACC and Isaiah Horton from Miami. They returned Jed Miller at running back and Richard Young. Now, like I said, I think the addition of Ryan Grubb at the OC is going to help out a lot. I'm expecting this team to be more intact in 2025 with the return in production. And defensively, I don't have that many question marks. I know they had that terrible loss to Vanderbilt, but in the back half of last season, they were playing really good defense. It's the offense that really lost them games. This is a defense that has 6 projected senior starters for next season. They return guys like LT Overton, Justin Jefferson, Damani Jackson. They got Keon Sabb back in the secondary. This defense has good pieces at every level, and they add Nakai Hill-Green, one of the top linebackers from the Big 12 last season. A guy that should really help elevate that linebacker room. Look, I know they only won 9 games last season, but Kalen DeBoer has not fell off in recruiting at all. Alabama is still recruiting at a very high level, and I would not count out this Alabama team quite yet. So without further ado, let's get into predicting their schedule. They opened the season with a road game at Florida State. This is a Florida State team that only won 2 games last season. Just looking at their roster, they have a pretty solid roster, a top roster in the ACC. They have good talent, but they have to bounce back from a 2-win season, and it's going to be hard to compete with a team like Alabama in week 1. Florida State has to rely a lot on transfer portal pickups like Squirrel White and Deuce Robinson at wide receiver. They also bring in Thomas Castellanos and have a revamped offensive line. They add a guy like James Williams up front on the defensive line. In the back end secondary, they could have questions there. They're very young. Overall, there's still some holes on this roster, even if they're super talented. And having to bounce back from a 2-win season is going to be tough. I could see them making a bowl game, but I don't see them beating Alabama in week 1. Alabama has a lot of their pieces back from last season. I think their roster is going to be intact. I think they get a big win in week 1 on the road. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't close. Give me Alabama moving to 1-0. Alabama will then play UM Monroe. UM Monroe actually surprised some people last season. They did miss out on a bowl game, but they had a stud at running back in Ahmad Hardy. Unfortunately, though, they lost that guy, and I'm expecting UM Monroe to struggle again. UM Monroe has been one of the worst FBS teams in recent memory. And there's nothing much to say about this game. Give me Alabama moving to 2-0. Alabama had no struggle with Wisconsin on the road last season, and I expect it to be a same type of story this season. Alabama plays Wisconsin at home, and Wisconsin is a team I'm not high on at all. They'll probably miss a bowl game again. Luke Fickell has just not figured it out at Wisconsin. The offense has been a consistent issue. They got Billy Edwards Jr., he should be solid. But on the other hand, they lose their top back, and the running back room is a question mark. The offensive line is a question mark. I think this team is going to struggle again. Maybe they'll be a little bit better with a quarterback like Billy Edwards Jr. I do think he'll be their best quarterback in a couple of years. But I do have great expectations for Wisconsin. I trust Alabama to win this game and move to 3-0. Alabama will then go on the road to play Georgia. And there's definitely a reason to pick Alabama in this game, knowing that they have had Georgia's number in recent memory. But this will be Kalen DeBoer's first road game against Georgia, and Georgia has a very good home field advantage. And I also think they upgraded their roster. They add guys like Zachariah Branch and Noah Thomas. Both of them could be elite wide receivers. They return Colby Young, Dylan Bell, and London Humphreys. I think this could be a very underrated receiving core and much improved. They return a young stud in the backfield and Nate Frazier, and Gunnar Stockton should get the job done. Oh yeah, and of course, not to mention, they also return Oscar Delp at tight end as senior. Defensively, we know what the standard is, and they have some elite pieces. I'm expecting Georgia to get back to playing elite level football. I think they're going to be a national title contender, and I do think they finally beat Alabama. I'm trusting Georgia to win that game at home, so give me Alabama to drop this game and move to 3-1. But after that, I do think they'll bounce back and get their revenge against Vanderbilt. They do get them at home. If this was a road game, maybe it could be tricky. But I don't see Vanderbilt's offense taking advantage of the Alabama defense like they did last season. Even at the end of last season, Alabama was playing very good defense. Alabama honestly played a terrible game against Vanderbilt, and it's hard for me to believe that Vanderbilt will beat them again. I trust Alabama in this game to win it and move to 4-1. Alabama will then go on the road to play Missouri. Missouri has to be a very interesting team. I really think it could be hit or miss with them. They add some good additions like Kevin Coleman Jr. from Mississippi State, one of the top receivers in the SEC. They add Ahmad Hardy, who was a great back for UMRO last season. He had well over 1,000 yards. Some people are projecting him to be a top back in the SEC. But Missouri also added some great backs from the group of 5 last season, and they didn't really hit well. They got Bo Pribula at quarterback. I think he'll be okay, but I don't see him being a standout quarterback. This Missouri team lost a lot of NFL talent, and most importantly, Luther Burden at wide receiver. They have some good talent and had a great portal class, so I think it's going to help them out, but I don't see them being much better than they were last season with who they lost. And last season, we know what Alabama did to Missouri. Alabama should be able to win this game on the road and move to 5-1. Alabama will then get Tennessee at home, and Tennessee is a team I'm expecting to take a step back. They are near the bottom of the SEC in return in production, and they also went and lost their 5-star quarterback in Nico Iamaleava. Luckily, they got Joey Aguilar. He should be a solid replacement, but there's still some questions with a new quarterback and some new pieces. They didn't have a great portal class, and there's a lot of questions with this team. I think they'll have a solid defense again, but I have questions with the offense. They lost their top back from last season to Dylan Sampson. I think they're going to be good, but I don't know if they'll be a playoff team again. They actually got exposed last season against Ohio State. I think they were a bit overrated. And I think Alabama has the passing attack to expose the Tennessee secondary. Tennessee is a team that I'm just not too high on. I don't see them going back to the playoffs again. I think it's going to be a down year for them. Give me Alabama to win and move to 6-1. They play a 5-game stretch before their second bye week, and they will play South Carolina on the road. And this absolutely is an important game in the playoff race. South Carolina really should have beat Alabama last season, and I think South Carolina has the quarterback of Lenore Sellers who could go off. This could be a Heisman type of performance for Lenore Sellers at home. They got a guy like Nick Harbor at wide receiver who's waiting to break out. They got Jared Brown and Mosiah Bennett Jr. back as well. They don't have a super good receiver core, but they're solid there. And they got a good backfield. And defensively, they should be really good. They added some huge pieces up front. They got Damon Clowney, the younger cousin of Jadeveon Clowney, former #1 pick. You pair him with Dylan Stewart on the edge, one of the best players in the country. This is going to be a dangerous pass rush. The secondary has some experience. I think they're going to have a top defense in the SEC. And when you got a quarterback like Lenore Sellers, anything is possible. We'll see how consistent they can be, but I do think they're going to be able to get this win against Alabama at home. I have Alabama losing their second game and moving to 6-2. If Alabama doesn't lose on the road at South Carolina, they could be in danger of losing to LSU. But Alabama does have this game at home coming off of a bye week. I had them losing to South Carolina, so I could see them bouncing back. Again, this is another crucial game in the playoff race. I think Alabama and LSU are two teams that are going to be better next season, two teams that have coaches that are getting doubted a lot, but two teams that are extremely talented, and their coaches have been winners everywhere. I get it, Brian Kelly has struggled in the big games, but let's not forget he led Notre Dame to a national title. He led Notre Dame to some great seasons. And I see no reason not to believe that he will take LSU to the next level. Maybe they're not going to win a national title, but I do think this team is dangerous, and I do think they are going to be a playoff team next season. If you watch my schedule prediction for LSU, I had them at 10-2. I think they have the talent. They got Nick Anderson and Barian Brown out of the portal. They got Aaron Anderson returning, one of the top receivers in the nation. The receiving core could be dangerous. They got Garrett Nussmeier back at quarterback. They got a young stud in Caden Durham. The offense has so many great pieces, and the defense has the potential to be elite if they put it all together. Blake Baker is a great DC. They have a top total class, and this team has all the pieces necessary to be a deep playoff contender. I do have LSU at 10-2, but I do think Alabama can get this win at home. They have it off of a bye week. So I have Alabama moving to 7-2, but I'm still very high on LSU. Alabama will then get Oklahoma at home. Look, Oklahoma is another team that could be dangerous. When you have a quarterback, anything is possible. John Mateer could be a Heisman finalist, but it would take a lot more from the rest of this team for Mateer to be a Heisman finalist. I don't quite see this Oklahoma team as a playoff contender yet. Outside of Deion Burks, I don't see any standout receivers. The offensive line is a question mark as well. And defensively, they lost a couple of their key players, and they lost their top linebacker from last season. I think Oklahoma will be really good, but they have some holes. But I think Alabama will get their revenge. They have it at home. Give me Alabama to win this game and move to 8-2. They will then get an easy game against Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois is an FCS team. We know how these games go. SEC usually fills in some random late season games against FCS teams. It's very weird. But regardless, give me Alabama to win this game and move to 9-2. I have nothing much to say about this game. But they finished the season with the Iron Bowl. They play on the road at Auburn. This could be a playoff spoiler game. Auburn is a team that is capable of upsetting teams. They upset Texas A&M last season, and they could play spoiler next season with the talent that they have. They have a receiving core that could take advantage of any secondary. And Alabama could have some question marks in the secondary. I definitely think their front is a lot better than their secondary. I don't think their secondary is weak or anything. But when you look at that Auburn receiving core, they could be dangerous and be a lot better. Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton Jr., and the rest of the young receivers coming up like Malcolm Simmons. The receiving core is deep. And they got a 5-star quarterback in Jackson Arnold who can sling the ball deep. He just needs to be more consistent. Auburn has had a pretty consistent defense. I do think they're going to take a step forward, but I am going to trust Alabama's talent to get this win on the road. They have had Auburn's number in recent memory. So give me Alabama to win this game and move to 10-2. So there you have it. I expect Alabama to go 10-2, and I have them in the college football playoffs most likely. This is a team that I think people are backing off of way too much. I think the talent is there next season and the coaching staff is there. I think Ty Simpson is going to be a lot better than people think. I think he could actually be better than Milroe, and he could fit better into that Kalen DeBoer offensive system. But yeah, I think year 2 is going to be a better year for Alabama. But you guys leave your prediction down in the comments below. Now let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.